Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Learn with Michelle. I am Michelle Pacansky-Brock, and I'm a Director of Academic Services at Academic Partnerships. And I am here today to welcome you to What's New with Wikis. This is going to be a fun and invigorating live hangout on air. The Learn with Michelle events, for those of you who haven't joined us yet, oops, hold on, let me click over to me here, something I always forget to do, so that you can see me as I'm speaking. The Learn with Michelle events are live events that I host regularly throughout each week, and I toggle between webinars and live hangouts. And basically the series is intended to take a look at a variety of ways that emerging technologies are reshaping the way that teaching and learning is occurring in higher education. So I hope that you enjoyed today's event, and I have two fabulous guests that I'd like to welcome to the Hangout today. Today we are joined by my colleague, Robin Bartoletti from Academic Partnerships, and also Wendy Gorton from Wikispace. So I'm going to let both of them introduce themselves and share a little bit about what they do in their roles. Robin, would you like to go first?
Sure. My name is Robin Bartoletti, and I am Director of Academic Quality and Communities for Academic Partnerships. And we have a web space that's called the Faculty eCommons, and I administer that. And we also design and deliver MicroMOOCs for professional development. And I'm going to show you one of our first ones of those today.
Terrific. That's going to be great.
Great. I can't wait for you guys to see Robin's. Her MOOC is amazing, and I think it's a really good model to follow. Hey, everyone. I'm Wendy Gorton. I'm here in San Francisco right now, where it's a beautiful summer day in the Bay, and really excited to join to share what I do here, which is working with K-12 and higher ed education institutions for how they can use the Wikispaces platform to create classrooms, to share work, to collaborate on administrative projects. There's so many use cases, and we have a ton of really cool new features that I'm really happy to showcase for you guys today, and how you can get ready now that it's summertime to kind of revamp your fall and think about how you can integrate Wikis into the classroom. So thanks for having me, Michelle.
Oh, I'm thrilled that you're here, and Robin and I are both very jealous about your Bay Area climate because we're both suffering in 100+ degree weathers ourselves today. So you enjoy your fabulous day today by the beach. You do that. So Wikis. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, you see on the screen here, we do have a Twitter back channel going throughout the Hangout. So if you do have any questions, you're welcome to tweet them and include the hashtag #APCommons, and we'll be moderating that throughout the Hangout. So you're welcome to jump in and ask any questions, and we'll kind of feature them and respond to them throughout the event today. Wikis. One of those really first early Web 2.0 tools that got really popular early on, and I know that myself, when I started teaching online, one of the first ways I and many other teachers started using wikis, I jumped into them because they made my life as a teacher easier for some of those group management tasks. I remember the first time I used a wiki was simply because I realized I could use it to have my students sign up for group projects without me having to take 35 emails from students and going, okay, you're going to do a report on this artist, and I didn't have to do all this tracking. I could just create a list and say, sign up for whoever you want, right? Because a wiki is a website that basically anyone who I give it the authority to can edit. And that to me was like the most empowering thing ever. But today, in 2013, that's like such a simplistic use of a wiki, right? Because nowadays, wikis are used for such innovative, thoughtful, mindful, creative uses by educators. So let's kind of bridge that gap today and think about where we're at today with wikis and how the functionality has developed. And Wendy, do you want to just kind of, in just a couple of minutes, give us a synopsis of maybe some of the the real innovative uses of wikis that you're seeing over there at Wikispaces today?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited because we have a lot of school districts and kind of larger organizations that use Wikispaces Campus, which is kind of our solution for large scaling of lots of teachers and students using wikis. And so with that, we see a lot of kind of unified approaches towards whole schools using this as a platform to communicate, but also just with 21st century learning skills. Global collaboration has really been a use case that we've seen blow up. We just did a blog feature on at ICT Magic, Martin Barrett, and he showcased all the different kinds of projects his school does to connect the curriculum that his students are doing with people around the world. And I think wikis make it really easy to do that because it's easy to make accounts, students don't need email addresses, and it's really easy to set permissions. If you want a global page, that's totally wonderful. But if you also want private pages where student, e-portfolio and assessment work can go, you can do that too, all in one spot. So I think that flexibility has really allowed some of these really creative uses to blossom and to make and have whole schools kind of do large initiative. Another great example is our good friend Keith Medlin, at Keith Medlin on Twitter, at Chatham County Schools. His whole school district uses wikis, and so not only does he have each school with a wiki, but he also runs curriculum initiatives off of that. They just did a Common Core wiki where that you could use templates, and when a teacher needs to make a new lesson plan or unit plan, they can pull open these great templates that Keith has made and match it to the appropriate standard that they need to. So, I mean, it's just every day there's something new, and really passionate educators like Keith and like Martin are just blowing our minds over here. So we're really excited about, like you said, the changes over the past 7 years or so.
I have a question. That kind of global collaboration is fascinating to me. Do you see much of that happening at the higher ed level?
There's a really great history faculty member I met. I think he's at Plaid Avenger on Twitter. I met him at South by Southwest EDU, but he kind of breaks the mold for higher education, I think, and he posts these great history stories online using wikis and other tools and Skype, and so he's been. I think there's a lot of him out there. It's just finding outlets for them and the time for them, and we hope that things like wikis make it easier to do this for the busy, university professor. How do you find time to help your, and for university students who are just super swamped as well, yeah. How do you make it really easy to put your research online? I think somebody just tweeted me yesterday, a PhD student put their full case study public on a wiki, and these university students are doing such amazing things, for their research. There's no reason it shouldn't be totally public and let the world learn from this great research they're doing. So I think it's definitely an upward trend, and I think it's just highlighting those awesome professors that are doing it, and then helping the new ones who are getting into it see that it's really easy to do and won't take too much time from their teaching.
Yeah, and a real shift in the creating that culture and that value around sharing and openness that we're in the middle of here, which is really exciting. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's terrific. So as we mentioned earlier, Robin has a fabulous example that she's going to share with us. Academic Partnerships features a MicroMOOC periodically, which is an awesome way to get together and learn with your global peers in a professional development learning context. And the first MicroMOOC that Robin developed, she's the brainchild behind these MicroMOOCs, she put together in a free Wikispace wiki. And so she's going to share that with us and talk a little bit about why she chose a wiki, which is really kind of, my first question to you. I mean, why did you go with a wiki, and how did that work for you?
Well, the main reason we went with the wiki was because it was open and free, and I'm going to show you the MicroMOOC that we made. And let me just tell you, the MicroMOOC is a professional development MOOC. It's really a professional development course in MOOC format, and by MOOC, I mean CMOOC, constructivist and collaborative MOOC. So we wanted something where everyone could easily go and have access to, and we could embed lots of tools, and also the content on it is Creative Commons. So, you know, we want to make it totally open. And I'm going to share my screen and just give you a little tour, if you're ready for that, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. And do we have that URL, Robin? Because I can tweet it out while you're doing that.
Sure, it is etop12.wiki.
etop12 dot, say that again?
Yeah, etop12
Mm-hmm.
.wikispaces.com.
Great.
Okay. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
I am, yes.
Okay, so really we just used the basic model. We put our logo up here in the corner, and then we had a lot of fun creating graphics to go with it. But this MicroMOOC was on using technology with pedagogy and online learning. And the tools we used the pages, the wiki pages. We also used the wiki discussion, and then we embedded a lot of tools into the Wikispace. So this is the first page, which is the welcome page that kind of tells you how to participate. Then we also have, we call ourselves Wayfinders. And this is the Wayfinders page, and it has information about all of the people who facilitated this MicroMOOC. And you can see, I don't have a picture of myself right there. That's my little WhatsApp raccoon. So it tells who we are and our qualifications and all that. And then we did something called pre-MOOC connections, and that's kind of a week 0. So just different ways to connect with us about me, using Twitter, using Site44, the Twitter hashtag. We embedded a Word document with a suggested self-created MicroMOOC plan, and then also we embedded a survey. This is actually a SurveyMonkey survey that just has your name and your blog feed if you have one, your Twitter name. And here, down here we embedded a ThingLink image. If you're not familiar with that, ThingLink is fun. It's a way to embed an image, and you can add comments to the image, and you can add video and audio. So that was kind of fun. And we just asked people to look around for commonly used technologies, Amazon, Google, Skype, and put a link and how they might use it.
So what this is such a, I mean, this is such a great example of so many things. It's designed so effectively, in my opinion, but it also is illustrating to those maybe who have not seen a wiki in terms of how richly it can embed so many different types of tools, which is great.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we love about the platform is,
yeah,
you know, you can embed things, and then if you didn't know how to embed, it was really easy to figure out. The instructions were really easy. You could just Google embed a video or something like that. So here's a video from a webinar that we had in another space, and then we just embedded the recording here. And up here we made page links, a little table of contents, and that's actually a feature that was already in the wiki, so we just took advantage of that, and it just takes you down the page when you click on it to the different anchor spots. And so let's see, right here is a slide share that's embedded, and we also try to use lots of images to keep the interest up.
Yeah, Robin, I love how you have the headers, the small little graphics. We always see some great classrooms and some great online learning spaces that just a little bit of design goes a long way, and just yours is just so simple. And I think nowadays folks are expecting from a MOOC or from an online course just being very easy to navigate, and I think you've really taken advantage of that with the great little bar headers, and it's very clear every week those same sections reappear. So that's so nice, especially for higher education and for adult learning too. It's just so well formatted. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was one of the things that was really important, since this was our first one and we were exploring how do you do this, how do you do a MOOC, how do you do a MOOC as professional development. It was important to us to keep it as simple as possible, and the Wiki was perfect for that.
And Robin, why don't you share a little bit about, and I'm sorry if I missed this when I was posting my tweet, I'm not very good at multitasking, but the user experience, because I'm thinking that maybe people who are looking at this might still be thinking, so, why would that be different than an LMS? Because this, as you said, is actually, I think you said free and open, right? Because
correct.
The pages would be visible to anyone who came to them.
Right, anybody can go to it. Now, there is an area for questions, so we did use that. I don't have the questions turned on right now. I removed some of them just to not share people's information, but so I'm not going to go into them. But you did have to be registered on Wikispaces, have an account with Wikispaces in order to post your comments and questions. But anyone can go and view and interact with the content. Then we also had a sharing page where we posted links to people's resources. This is actually a feed from the faculty eCommons, which is our web space. And then we have the Twitter feed embedded here where people would mention the eTop12 hashtag. And we did have a couple of tweet chats, so those showed up on here. You could follow along if you wanted to.
Great.
And what kind of assignments did they turn? It sounds like discussion boards, and what was kind of their weekly assignment that you had them turn in? Really the whole concept was to come out of the professional development with applying pedagogy to a piece of technology. So looking at your course content and looking at what you want to teach and your learning objectives, and then selecting the appropriate technology to go with that. And we used, let's see. Ooh, artifacts. Oh, cool. This is great. Oh, such a good model.
So we used this one pedagogy and technology model called the SAMR, the SAMR model. So we focused on that. There's a bunch of different models that you could use, but this is one that we really liked. So it's just how you would analyze the technology to select the correct one for what you're trying to teach and what you want the students to know. So we had all kinds of sharing, and then they could post different questions and artifacts, and anything that was really interesting, we would ask them, can we post those things on here? We have some profiles on Twitter for people to follow, and this was kind of just a little image map of what was going on inside of it.
Great.
And then at the end, we also have a survey for them to fill out, which was just about their experience in the MicroMOOC. Since it was our first one, we wanted to see what they thought about it.
And that was embedded from SurveyMonkey, I see.
Yes, which you could easily also do with Google Docs if you want to have a free one in there. Terrific. So that's pretty much it.
Well, thanks for sharing, and I love that it's still there and people can go look at it and explore and continue to learn at their own pace if they want to do that. That's fabulous. Thanks, Robin. Great work. And do you want to share about the next MicroMOOC that's coming up that you put together?
Sure. The next one is actually called Game Elements for Learning. This one is not on Wikispaces. It's actually being presented through the Canvas Learning Network. And if you go to the faculty eCommons, then you can find out about that and sign up for it.
Great. And it starts soon, right?
It starts July 1st, but it is designed so if you don't sign up and miss a few days, you can go back and catch up, you can lurk, you can really participate as you choose, as much or as little as you choose.
So if you've got some vacation planned around the holiday, don't stress about it.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Great. Okay, well that sounds fabulous too. All right, well, let's pass it over to Wendy and take a look at what's going on over at Wikispaces, because very recently Wikispaces unveiled Wikispaces Classroom, which has some new features for educators. It's still free, which is one of the reasons why we all as teachers love Wikispaces. And I just want to add, not only free, but ad-free, which to me is, I just want to like reach out and hug you, because there's lots of free tools, but to me there's a huge distinction between a free tool and an ad-free tool, and it's that complete clean, just airy, open look that Wikispaces has that I just think is just so fabulous. I mean, aside from its usability and all of that. So let's take a look at some of these new features and understand what benefits they bring to educators. And I do have one question that has come up in the Twitter feed that I want to share with you, and you can address whenever you feel it makes sense. Scott Moss has shared, first of all, he says, I love Wikispaces and is one of my primary tools for all classes. And then he says, when will text formatting improve? Smiley face.
Well, what's really nice, and thanks so much for all the great feedback, Michelle. We're a small team here in San Francisco, and I think one of the great parts about the team is that we think our customer service is pretty awesome. We really try on Twitter and at our email, help@wikispaces.com. We're super responsive, and we do take all that feedback, even the smiley face and the asking about text formatting, that all comes into play when we do redesigns and releases, because without our user feedback, we can't make a tool that's loved by so many millions of people. So thank you so much, and keep the feedback always coming. Can you see my screen okay, Michelle?
Yes, it looks great.
Perfect. So just to let you guys know, here's our Twitter @Wikispaces. We're responsive here, and our email. And we also have a blog that we highlight a lot of our work on, and new releases, and also exactly what I was talking about earlier. Here's we have Martin's Wiki adventure, the guest blog post where he shares his ideas for it. So I think it's a really great resource to get new ideas from and learn from the community for sure. So yeah, keep in touch with us after today. We're happy to take all your feedback and give you ideas as well. But I did want to share with you just a couple of really cool new features that have been released, and they've all been in response to helping make teaching easier, helping improve student outcomes, and helping increase student engagement. We know there's a lot of tools out there right now, and so Wikispaces integrates, as Robin has showed you, with so many of those different Web 2.0 tools. But we also want to make sure it's a really interactive and creative and collaborative process with your students in your classroom. So with Wikispace's Classroom, which is a free type of wiki that you can turn on right now in your existing wiki. And it's really, really similar to a regular wiki. It just has a couple of fun features that are handmade for the classroom experience, both K-12 and higher ed. And I just wanted to run you through a couple of these features. We only have about 5 minutes left, so I'll do a super fast one. But we do have other webinars coming up that I can share with you that you can come for a deep dive to learn a little bit more about how this works. But what you're looking at right now is kind of my test classroom. And you'll notice over here on the right, that looks just like a normal wiki. You have all your regular wiki pages where, as a teacher, you can post your resources, post links and work and things that you want your students to do. But now, every time you or a student logs in, if you have it turned on to Classroom, you get what's called the news feed. And the news feed is an up-to-the-minute online collaboration space where you as a teacher can post upcoming projects, kind of global questions or discussions that you want to happen, or even events that are happening in the classroom. And if you take a peek, just I'm going to show you what it's like to be logged in as a student. So now we have side by side. There's me, Miss Wendy, as a teacher, my little avatar. But then this is Dom. And so he sees a really super clean version. I get some extra goodies being a teacher. I get all these extra menu items at the top. But when Dom logs in, he gets to see this news feed right away. So if I've posted a homework question that I want them to respond to, or a new project that he's a part of, he doesn't get any distractions. The newsfeed shoots him right where he needs to go. And then, of course, he can still always get to regular wiki pages, no problem. That hasn't changed at all. But we just designed this because we knew so many classrooms and teachers were starting to use more social tools to kind of add this extra element into the classroom.
That's nice.
Yeah. A couple other cool things. So not only can I, post a question to the whole class, but I can create project groups. So this is an example, kind of 4th grade classroom. And so I've made, for basically any assignment that I have in my class, I've created a project page, which is a separate wiki where I could just have maybe Dom and another student be as their online workspace that has separate permissions. So only Dom and me and his partner can give feedback to each other. It works in reverse too. It could be a totally public page to the class where their online work gets shared and gets feedback from everybody. So the level of kind of the granular permissions that you can set on these projects, we think is really exciting for teachers, and one we wanted to make really easy for them to use. So I could even send a discussion to my personal narrative team and say, oh, check out this website. It has some really good examples for good dialogue, anything like that, and it could just go to that personal narrative team, or I can send one to the whole class. So the level of communication now is really a lot more robust. A couple other cool things to quickly show you.
So those projects, Wendy, are basically like wikis within wikis.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can create wikis within your wikis, so they have different layers of permissions for groups of students. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because we've seen in the past people make whole separate wikis, but then you need to add your members again, and it's still a great solution, but this is exactly like you said. You go directly within your wiki to another wiki, and so here's my list of projects. And as a teacher, it's really easy for me to look and see, all right, who's in what project team, how can I check their work very quickly, and then how can I quickly change their permissions if we want to make a public project space. I can quickly do that. The other cool thing about projects is I can go to the new assessment tool, and again, this is only in Classroom because it's really more helpful to students and teachers. But you can see here all of my students in my class, and I can see their activity for the last 30 minutes, and it actually moves in real time what that person's doing. So obviously I'm Wendy right now, and I'm online, and I'm just viewing pages. You get this little key down at the bottom, but I'm just reading right now. But you could see if I were to edit a page, you'd see a different kind of activity. And then even better is when I save a page, or a student saves a page, I can pull up that save that they just did right there. And so we think this is exciting for real-time teaching. If you're in the class, you've got the projector up, you've just let them hit the ground running on their project, you can be walking around with your tablet, have this on the screen, and it really allows for differentiation and for you to be in 30 places at once, making teaching a lot easier, and be able to help. If James and Sarah aren't logged in yet, there's a problem and I need to go help them right away. So the assessment tool, we think, is really powerful for teaching. And you can even pull that up by project. So organizing your Wikispace's Classroom by project is really a great idea, because now I can pull up teams and see which teams are having a problem, which teams need a little jump start. And right here you can see everyone needs a little bit help getting going today on a Friday. So that is the assessment feature.
That's great too. That's really fabulous.
Yeah, so those are really the two main things that are different about a Wikispace's Classroom. The rest is all pretty similar, and you'll also notice, a new theme that you can certainly change. and put your school colors and things like that. So that was really, really brief, but that's our super brand new feature that we have out right now. All you need to do is log into your wiki, go to settings, and it's considered a wiki type. So you go and change it to a classroom. And you can always get back your regular wiki. It's no problem. It's just the classic wiki. So you can always change it if you want to remove. Basically, you're removing the newsfeed and the assessment tools. And it looks and then you'll still have your regular pages. You don't lose any of your data or anything like that. So you can easily switch back and forth, no problem, to test it out. So I encourage you guys all to, now you can see it's a little bit different, and I've just lost now this looks a lot more like you might be used to. I've lost that little overlay. But so yeah, I encourage you guys to check it out. Email us or tweet us if you have questions about it, and join one of our upcoming webinars that we have. And I'll tweet it out as well, but if you just go to help.wikispace, we have one coming up next week that you can sign up for. And we also have a few about Wikispace's campus, which is if your whole school is using Wikispace's Classroom and you want some more management features, we've got that as well. So
actually, that last point you just made ties into a question that we just got from Michael Porterfield. He says, and I think there may be a couple different ways that you can respond to this one, but he's saying, I work in higher ed and lawyers freak out about student work. So I think he's getting into like the FERPA and the open sharing. Does Wikispace's hook into an existing LMS?
Yeah, so like if you have Google Apps for Education, there is a single sign-on feature so that you can sign on with your Google Apps address. Robin mentioned earlier a lot of the Google tools embed really nicely into wikis. And if you have like Wikispace's Campus, which is the whole site-wide solution, you can actually more deeply integrate it so that all your docs actually just show up when you go to insert new document. And then also Blackboard and Moodle all have really easy Wikispace's integration at different levels. So what I can do, I can tweet out our help page that talks about the different integrations. But that's our goal, is that we know that not every LMS fits exactly. So we want to make sure that our tool fits into whatever LMS that you're currently using, or like Robin did, actually design it to be an LMS.
And you have the LTI integration, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what makes it nice to turn on in Blackboard or a tool that you might be using. Yeah, so I'll tweet that out right now to Michelle that she can retweet as well.
Okay, perfect. Great. Yeah, so there are lots of options, Michael, that you can explore if that's an issue. Okay, well, I think we had a question from Steve about are the images eCommons licensed? But I'm not quite sure what that means, so I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Creative Commons.
Yeah,
I wonder which images.
Creative. I replied back and I said I'm not sure what images you're referring to, and I'm not sure if you meant Creative Commons or eCommons, because eCommons is our site that we do our professional development through with academic partnerships, but Creative Commons is different. So I think there might be a little confusion there. So, but I think that's going to wrap things up for the Hangout, and this will be archived. It will be posted on our archive part of the Faculty eCommons. You can click on Community, go to facultyecommons.org, go to Community, and you'll find an archive page shortly. And thank you for joining us. Thank you so much to Robin and to Wendy for sharing your fabulous ideas and resources with everybody. It's all about sharing. And if any of you want to share with me, please reach out. You can learn how by going to facultyecommons.org. Sign up for a newsletter to get updates about upcoming Hangouts and other Learn with Michelle events. And there is under community, you can go to the Learn with Michelle page, and there's a form where you can actually reach out to me and share an idea for a Hangout, and we can sit down just like this and have a conversation about your fabulously innovative uses of emerging technologies. So you all have a great day, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Everybody.
Thanks, Robin.
Bye.
Bye.